All right. So we have been to the Boundary Waters a few times. I was just going to show you my map. This is our map. You can see that we have mainly been to one area because the color is all faded from the spot where we go all the time. We've been to different places, but generally we go to Birch or Ensign. And we enter at, it's number 25 entry point. And so before we leave, we have to load everything up. When you go to the Boundary Waters, you have to bring everything in. You can't leave and go to McDonald's or something. You bring your tent, you bring your toilet paper, you bring your food, everything. And so it does get to be quite a little bit. And we've had some pretty good sized groups, so there's a lot. And then we go to Ely, Minnesota, and we usually go shopping. So I just thought I'd show that to you. They have the cool shops with all the good gear and souvenirs and everything. So at the entry point, you have to haul your stuff down to the water and load your canoes. And one thing to notice when you're doing that is if your canoe is level. So if you have too much weight in the back or the front, you're going to have an issue. So anyway, you got your sleeping bags. Try to put things in dry bags or plastic bags or laundry baskets or something to keep it together. Okay, here we are headed out. You can see again how much gear it seems to take us to go. Here's Roger and his brother Rick in their gear. The optional way to go, okay, so when we put in at Moose, we have to paddle through Moose, through Newfoundland, through Sucker, and we either go to Ensign or to Birch. But you can get a shuttle. You can have a small motor or something through that first stretch of lakes, and that saves time. And when you get to be older, maybe it's a good idea. If it's windy, it saves you a lot of trouble. But so this is us. This is Dave. Oh, Dave and my grandson Chase in the shuttle. Okay, we called this the 5-star motel. For the first few years, I think first 7 years I went to the Boundary Waters was just the 4 of us. And this was their favorite spot. And I'll tell you why, because it had a nice beach. It had good trees, had a lovely view from the toilet, and there were places to set up your tent. So these are important things to look for. We also had birch trees, and the first few years, Ken would shimmy up the tree, tie a rope, and then down, and then up another tree and tie the rope, and then we put the bear pack over that rope. And that worked good, but we quit that after a while because he got old, I guess. So then we kind of went more to this way where it's over a branch, and you try to do the best you can, but we have not always done well with our bear packs. One time, my grandson climbed up in a pine tree. You couldn't, it was just all sticky in them and tar, and then he got that rope, and then they got up in another tree and put the rope, and we got the bear pack up, and we could hit our head on it, and it was like, so we tied some cups on it, so if a bear came, he maybe would notify us that he was in the area. But here's a site of our camp, one camp. We stayed at quite a few. You can see the bear pack and our tents, and then we use the aluminum canoe makes a good table. And here's Dave at the camp. It's a good idea to bring a stove because it's quite damp in the woods, and you would spend a lot of time looking for dry firewood if you don't have a stove, a low propane stove. And when you want to get firewood, then you try to find a dead standing tree because the stuff on the ground pretty wet, almost always. So a stove is pretty much a must. And then we have evolved to the point where we got a table. And so that's part of the reason we have so much crap to carry in. And then you can see we have a tarp over the top. And these are my two granddaughters doing dishes. It's important to be a good camper and share all these responsibilities. And this is the toilet. And we got our toilet paper in a plastic bag on the ground because, well, obviously, you might have a problem if you don't. But it's always way back in the trees. And when we find a new campsite, we usually check and see that the toilet isn't too full because they can get stinky. This is a view from the toilet at that 5-star campground or campsite. And we love to have our firewood. Like I said, you find a nice dry tree, and that's where you're going to get your best firewood. And it just goes with camping to have a campfire and some marshmallows, and yeah. So this is a view from that 5-star campground. This that's an island over there, and we've explored it. It's kind of out in the middle of the lake. I don't know if it's Canada or USA. You can't see the boundary on those lakes. So during the day, we have to entertain ourselves, and we usually spend a little bit of time in the water. And we also watch the wildlife. There's always eagles and the loons, and it's beautiful there. Here's a seagull, and they call their rabbits hares. They're kind of look a little bit different than the ones I got running all over my yard. And then this one, let's see, how do I start this? Yeah, I forgot. Okay, here it is. It's a kangaroo mouse. She says really long tail. So, yeah. Anyway, oh, now it's going again. All right, oh, I gotta do this one. And so another thing they do, of course, is fish. And you can't imagine a better meal than fresh fish from the lake to the fry pan. So I just thoroughly suggest you just get what you're going to eat and quit fishing. That's the best way. So we also go on day trips and pack up a little lunch and whatever you think you're going to need. Some water. You have to have your own water bottle that's secure, that won't knock over in the boat and spill. Here we stop for a little break and we're sharing gorp. Raisins, peanuts, all that. Nope. So, and then oftentimes if you go on a day trip, you're going to go from one lake to another. So you're going to wind up portaging. And you got to carry all your stuff, like your water, your paddles, your canoe. Okay, go. All right, I'll use this. Okay, this is Cattleman Falls. That's one place that we'd always go for a day trip. And that one had some, I think you go through from Ensign to through the portage to Ashigan, through another portage to Gibson, and then you get to see the falls. So I think this is a spot on Isle of the Pines. It used to be where Dorothy Molter, one of the last remaining white people who lived in the Boundary Waters before they changed it to park. And she had an island, they had a resort. And when she passed away, then it went to the park. And things have just slowly gone back to the wild. But she used to have a path with a kind of a metal rail up there, but that's gone now. Here we are at the best viewpoint from Isle of the Pines, and you can look out and see that lovely vista of the lakes and the trees, and I just can't tell you how beautiful it is there. And this is a special rock that Dorothy had that her nephew brought to her for her birthday. I don't know where they found it, but they found it up there and got it in the boat and hauled it over to Dorothy's island and broke her boat doing it. So that's a good story. Oh, and this is my family. My grandson, granddaughter, friends. There's Schaefer, Patricia. The guy in the kind of yellow shirt is my son. I'm so happy to have them. It's like you got faith or hope that the tradition will carry on or some, I don't know, it's just, they're fun anyway, but This is another beautiful picture. Here we're sitting at Prairie Portage. There's a place to enter Canada. You do have to have the passport and all that, and I don't know how that's working nowadays with the different problems we have, but they have this picnic table and they have this huge, giant toilet there. And so you can like sit inside. It's really fancy. Here's my granddaughter, Portaging. She said, I'm only doing this just to prove I can. So she's not so big on that. But the Kevlar canoes are way better than when we started, we had a Coleman that weighed a lot. That was 1 year. And then I saved up all year and we bought a Kevlar. So here they are sitting there on the beautiful beach. Another pretty scene. I don't know how I'm doing for time, but this might be no, this isn't the last one. There's just so much for the sunrise, sunset. Well, I don't see the sunrise very often, but I do see a lot of sunsets. I tell you, Renee loved to get up and photograph the sunrise. I did once, I think, and all the years we went with her. So you can see just everywhere beauty. Just incredible. Then at the portages, it's kind of, sometimes you can pull your canoe through, and sometimes you have, like you can pull it through the water. Because the lakes are at different levels. And depending on how steep it is and how many fallen trees are there and how much rocks and everything, sometimes you can walk your canoe through, but most often you have to take your gear out. So if you're just going for a day trip, maybe you don't have very much gear, but if you decide you're going to camp on a different lake, then you might be making a few trips or you got a little bit more to haul. Here we're seeking some shade, I'd say. Just sitting around enjoying each other's company. Here we had a little rainy day. So we put up a tarp and kind of tie them to the trees best we can. Sometimes you might find a fallen stick to prop up the corner or the middle so that the water doesn't, make a big scoop in the middle of your tarp. And then, so rain gear is a good idea. And then you see holding his off. This is a requirement as well. They got mosquitoes up there. Not every year. If it's dry, the mosquitoes aren't so bad, but that doesn't happen all that often. Here's Roger Foot with his foot. And here's Chase and my grandson catching a fish. I think we were waiting. We had this campsite that we really liked, and we kind of wanted to get it back a second year. And we went there and some people were there. But Patricia went up and talked to them. They were just stopped for lunch. So we're sitting around waiting for them to clear out of our spot. And there's no reservation on your campsite. You take reservations to get a permit, but that doesn't ensure you're going to have a campsite where you want it. It's first come, first serve, and some are better than others. And so we really wanted this one. I don't know why exactly, because I think we had a big group, we had a lot of tents, and we needed a big flat area. So we were just hanging out. I love this picture. Just the color and the motion of the water. And this is at a portage. This maybe was, oh, now I'm going wrong. Just a minute. This is a portage, but there's this long, low area. And depending on the year, how close you can paddle up to where you have to get out. And so you have to just walk it. I was going to say about shoes too. It's good to have some kind of a sole on your shoe because there's rocks and they get slippery and kind of pointy sometimes. So it's good to have some good shoes for when you're traveling. And then you'd like a dry pair in camp. That's how you be comfortable. Here's Jackie and Kathy and Nell. They went last year. And this is my son blowing up his air mattress. You always got to set up your tent and all your stuff. And there's always a lot to mess around with. We're not so big on the camp and then move and camp and move. A lot of people like that, but I find you just spend a lot of time looking for a site or setting up, tearing down, that sort of thing. And we have occasionally brought a screen thing, which also tells you why we have such a big load. But it's nice. This year, it was not set up well. It didn't touch the ground, so it didn't help much with mosquitoes, but it did when it rained. And you can see Bodie's hammock set up there in the back. He always has his mosquito net and a tarp, and he has camped with his hammock every year that he's gone with us. And we got fancier with our toilet paper holder. You just stick a little stick in there. Sometimes you can find the perfect one that has a little branch sticking out, and then you can just hang on there. But cover it up because, hey, that one year, I told Kathy to bring some toilet paper in those little snack bags. Well, I think I must have forgot to say snack bags because she had toilet paper in her pocket. That didn't work. She had it all strung out on the logs to try to dry it. It's kind of funny. And we went there's a lake up there, Trident, and to get there, you go through this kind of a grassy area. And, huh? You been there? Oh, and they have all these beautiful lilies there, lily pond and everything. And this is the campsite this is the campsite where we had company and just stayed a short time because, because we had a visitor. So we watched that guy swim across the lake and come up and I thought, oh, that's so cool. We got to see a bear. And the next thing you knew, he was at our site and looking through the bushes and we're all, get out of here, bear, get out of here, bear. And he left and then we're just laughing and all enjoying it. The next thing we know, he just circled around and came right down into our camp. So we knew he was not a shy bear. And so we moved because, we couldn't make a meal if he was going to come like that all the time. So we're all, get out of here, bear. And Dave said, wait a minute, I want to get a picture. So anyway, and this is another sunset. One thing about the lakes, it's almost like they each have their own kind of like weather. And you can hear and see sometimes the storm clouds or the lightning or something, and it's over there, and you're fine over here. And other times you can see it just rolling in, and it's so fascinating, and you sit there too long, and then you got to run because you're going to get wet. But it's just all beautiful. It's all good. So to make a reservation, you go to this Recreation.gov and go to Boundary Waters. So, but probably first you want to study some maps and try to figure out and maybe talk to some people who've been there, what you want to do, and kind of figure out what to get or what to have. There are checklists on this site, and then there's a quietjourneys.com that has information and recipes and lists, and you can find all kinds on the internet nowadays. And there is also a site, and this is good for any parks. I don't know if it's just Minnesota or it's all over, but it's paddleplanner.com. And they actually sometimes have pictures of the campsites. That's how we figured out that one would be good for the 9 people that we had, like 7 tents for 9 people. So paddleplanner.com. But the registrations are open now. They open January 28th or something like that. And it's just a big screen, and you pick out where you want to go in and the dates. And if one date's taken, you have to go to a different one. But like we go to 25, there's usually 27 permits for that site per day. And I don't know, some years they go faster than others. And then you pick that, and then you put your reservation in. I think it's like $16 for a permit, and then you pay per camper, not very much. And I have a senior pass, so I get half price. And once you put your and confirm and put your reservation, that number goes down. It's immediate. So you're not going to be taking somebody else's spot, and nobody's going to take yours. Once you put it in there, you're in. And but they're really quick about doing that. I don't know. It may be all automatic. I don't know how that works exactly, but I've changed, added people, and they bill me right away. And you have to have a card or something because you do have to go. I took this picture earlier, so that says registration closed, because before the date they allow it, then that's, you can't go in there. So, and that's it. Okay. Oh, yes.
You said sometimes they fill up faster than others. What's a good window of the probably available?
Oh, I don't know. With the college kids, I had to wait till quite late, and we only had a couple dates. We had like July 17th and then some in August. And one year we went July 17th, and another year we went in August. But they never knew their schedule till late. But most years, we know, like I can decide right now when I want to go and put it in. And I don't know why. I heard one time that the outfitters would reserve a bunch of spots, and then maybe they'd use them and maybe they wouldn't. But Mondays seem to go, and I think that might be the outfitters. I'm not sure, but we haven't really had too much trouble getting a spot. I don't. I know a guy I worked with, like 2 days before they decided to go, and they found a place to go. So if you know where you want to go, then maybe that wouldn't be so good. But if you don't care, one year Dave messed up our dates, and we didn't get in where we wanted when we wanted. So our option was to wait a day or to go to a different spot. And for that reason, we just thought, well, let's go to a different spot. And we went to that was when we went to Little Nina Moose. And you portaged a long ways, and then you paddled up a river a long ways, and then you went to this lake that was pure iron. I don't know, but anyway, I was going to tell you one other thing too about the water. You have to clean your water. So you go to the middle of the lake, and you got some kind of container. I use a empty orange juice container because it's got a handle. And then dip down there and put that into my big water. Well, it's like a 2-3 gallon thing. I don't know. You see them everywhere. And then take that back to camp, and then you pour it in this deal, goes through tubes, and then we have 2 filters with this system. I don't know if you need 2 at the Boundary Waters because the water there is sweet and good. But the first one gets rid of those bad diseases. And the second one is a charcoal filter, supposed to make it taste better, but it isn't always, it's not really necessary. But then anyway, this goes through some tubes, through the filters, and into another bag. This one's marked dirty, the other one's marked clean. Park them in the shade so you're not drinking tepid water. And when you have 9 people, you're fetching water quite often. So anyway, it's a good idea to have some system. We've seen all kinds of, some kind of thing stirring but then you only got your cup done, but we need it for cleaning and for cooking and everything. So I don't know. Any other questions?
Well, thank you, Mary.